Recording for Pastor Brooks, Restoration Ministries, take 3. Hello, Pastor Brooks. This is Pastor Burnside. On my 3 months, we're going to change it up to whatever it is. We're going to address sound. There are 4 different microphones that I'm using at, which says aux 1 and 2 out, and it goes through a USB cable, which is shown here, out to the computer for recording. Finally, we're getting to the process of the CDs and DVDs and so forth, and we're going to do that. Profitable as far as time is concerned that this becomes. Recording for Pastor Brooks, Restoration Ministries, take 3. Hello, Pastor Brooks. This is Pastor Burnside. I'm addressing you from within my studio. As you can tell with the images floating around that it is a green screen studio. I would like to express to you the opportunity that we could have in ministry and in the digital imagery world that you might desire to visit. We're going to address several different things. We're going to address sound. We're going to address image. We're going to address special effects. We're going to address audio recording and video recording. So that should be enough for right now. Let's start with the identification of who's speaking. During this video, I'm going to identify myself because it would be weird to identify myself as you. Since I'm the one speaking, I'll go ahead and just identify myself, and when you're speaking, we'll identify you. We would identify ourselves if we have not previously been identified as, in this instance, Pastor Burnside, assistant pastor. We can do that stacked, or we can do that in tandem. After we have addressed who we are, we address the ministry. For both of us, of course, it would be Restoration Ministries. Of course, there are several ways of bringing that in. Fading, zooming, swirling, what have you. That's not really important. The important part is what's being said and who's saying it and where they're saying it from. In this instance, again, Pastor Burnside is speaking. Who is he? He's the assistant pastor of Restoration Ministries, and then we go into what is he saying, following the reference of attention. So after we've identified ourselves, we say what it is that's going to bring them in. Identification, then invitation, then association. So we're going to mention whatever it is that we're speaking if we can, and then go from there towards the video cut that we have. There are several different ways that we can go about that. Of course, we'll counsel about that at a later date. So that's just the intro. It's a good idea to take that and to flow with it. We'll try to keep a standard reference. Every 3 months, we're going to change how we present the video. Starting in January, we're going to have one reference. We might just carry on the gadgets and gizmos that we moved from the Manpower or Man's Day program. I think that's something that we can do from January, February, March. Okay, that's the first. And then May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, what have you. Every 3 months, we're going to change it up to whatever it is. We're going to address sound. There are 4 different microphones that I'm using at this time. One is what's called a lapel mic. This is what you're familiar with. One of the reasons I sound so clear is because of the many different kinds of mic that I'm using. As I said, one is the lapel mic. One is the choir mic. Remember this? This was in the back of the church. I'm using it for this video. One is a phantom powered mic. This is a Sony Beta 87. This particular mic is used for that condensed sound that you want, that preacher sound. It works very well. there's another mic which you are using, which is identified as a dynamic mic. Those particular microphones are meant for choirs to sing. By the way, this particular mic above me is also meant for choir groups and recording. It's a small mic, but trust me, this particular mic is meant to capture a large range of sound. Also, I'm going to include a photo of my AT mic, which is actually a studio mic that we can utilize. I tried to use it once before. I think you remember it was a black mic, but we didn't have enough room where the mic was far enough from the speakers so that we could use it. Also, I'm using a camera mic that's already included with the camcorder. We're going to use that if we can associate that sound, something like the choir clapping their hands if it doesn't come through on the mic, or the congregation saying amen and clapping their hands if it doesn't come through on the microphones. Then, after we've addressed sound, because of course all of this has to go towards the mixing board, and of course I'll include a picture with that. That particular mixing board, we have several different identities on that mixing board. What we have are the lows, mids, and it's called a sweet mid because it has two references, a low mid and a high mid, and a high. And we have a gain. We also have a fader. We also have a PFF, which is meant for the headphones. And we also have a mute. I'm sure you know that the gain means the power of the sound. The level gives how much sound. The high, the mids, as you know, actually, and the lows actually affect the quality of the sound. Now, we're coming to the aux, which deals with what goes out of the mixer. And you have to press a particular button which says aux 1 and 2 out. And it goes through a USB cable, which is shown here, out to the computer for recording. And the aux 1 and 2 is independently controlled here, right above the master control, which actually identifies what will go out of the mixing board to the house. It's called the house. That goes through the USB is not the house. The one that goes through the XLR cables is the house. The USB is a studio. After we've identified that, and I know it's a lot, so I understand that, there's one other thing that we're addressing. It's a slant bar. That particular bar keeps the feedback from coming about. When you speak, there's a continual tone in a flat bar. When you speak and that tone drops off, it's a slant bar. That particular slant bar keeps the humming down because it doesn't pick up as much of the sound. It could be a good or a bad, depending on the quality and the reference of work that we're doing. In all theory, the studio should always have a straight bar and the house should always have a slant bar. Okay? Now we go to the camcorder. We have a fisheye lens, which actually allows an image to be wider than, of course, your son and probably you with your Canon know about what a fisheye lens is. It's on a Sony SR12 camcorder, which has a HDMI, which actually means that the images are integrated, not individual. Like a 24p would be each individual picture making a video reference. This is integrated, so all the frames are associated one with another. You can't separate them as you would a 24p. But very few people can tell the difference, if any, can tell the difference in quality of a 24p and a 1080p, which is what it is. Also, the mixing software that I'm using will be Cakewalk. I'm going to have a picture of that associated for you. This particular software, we're going to record flat. We're going to record into the software flat. The reason why we do this is we want to add effects after the fact, if necessary. How sound might sound good, but we want to make sure that the recording also sounds good. And if we can, here's an FX knob We haven't tried it yet. I'm not sure how good it is, but we can cancel the FX sound in the studio reference and apply it to the house sound. I haven't tried that yet, so I'm not sure about that, but that's where it is. Finally, we're getting to the process of the CDs and DVDs and so forth, and we're going to do that through this particular program, which is called Cyberlink Video Director. We're going to import those particular videos into this particular format. Then we're going to allow the DVDs to be made through the menu styling, whether it be chapter, we can choose, whether it be straight play, depending on if there's a sermon, a particular event, which might have more than just the speaking. It might be the choirs and the particular addresses, maybe for a particular person of interest, and then go from there. And after we have those particular references done, we'll go ahead and roll the credits. The credits actually identify who was important, who contributed, and it also gives the opportunity for the church to be listed, the address, and it also gives us the opportunity to give the invitation. If you would be okay with it, I think the Lord's Prayer would be appropriate. I have a video already made for that, and I would like to include that if I can. If not, we'll set up something else. Your call. If you would like to do the Lord's Prayer, just, you pray the Lord's Prayer, well, that's fine. We'll go that way. But whatever it is, we want to allow the persons who's viewing to have an invitation. Okay. After that, we're going to allow the donations to fund the project. After I've made the ink scribe, which is actually the discs that have color to them, you've seen them, red, blues, greens, and yellows, or light scribe, which looks champagne-ish with a burnt image on it. You've seen that as well. Either way, we're going to allow the donations to pay for that. That way we won't have to worry about supplies or demand, because both will be taken care of through the donations. Where there are donations, there will be CDs, there will be DVDs. The one thing that we might need to look at is the time associated with the projects to be completed. I might need 2 weeks to get these things done. So I'm going to ask for a 4 to 6 week period to edit, review, and finalize the projects. That means that every Sunday we might not be able to make a DVD. We might have to make CDs, which is fine for me. I don't know how it is for you, and we'll look into that. And the better I get at this, or the more profitable as far as time is concerned that this becomes, we might look into doing this every Sunday. But as for right now, it's going to take a 4 to 6 week period just to make sure that it has the opportunity to do that. We also want to record previous sermons or audio references, choir, music, for upcoming events. Say, for instance, there's a speaking event and we have the church, say it's pastor's anniversary or church anniversary. We might be able to pull praise and worship from another day and associate that with that particular video. Doesn't matter if the decorations match or not. It's not the issue about the decorations. It's about ministry. And if you're okay with that, we can go forward with that. Last point, we need to look at lighting. There's not enough lighting in the church. You have the ceiling fans, but honestly, there's not enough light in those candle bulbs. We need to look at bringing in some strip lights. We need to look at bringing in some brighter bulbs so that we can actually illuminate the church and capture the images necessary for the video. If you can do that, if you're okay with that, if that doesn't frustrate you in any way, it would be a benefit for the video. If not, we'll find our way around it. We'll do whatever's necessary. I've done what I can with the videos, but they're so warm because it's so dark, and warm is not necessarily a good thing. Too warm means that there's not enough light. And that might be an issue. I'm not trying to tell you how to run the church. I'm telling you what the issues I run into on a daily basis or weekly basis are. And if we want persons to receive the video, we're going to have to give them something to look at. And in order to see it, it has to be illuminated. So strip lights aren't expensive. The bulbs might be a little bit expensive, the LED bulbs. I understand. I'll purchase them if you'll let me. I'll install them if you'll let me. And then we'll go from there. I would love to do it. I've done it for myself. I'll do it for you. Okay? If there are any more questions, you can go ahead and contact me. You know my email, judeochristianministry@gmail.com. You can check out my website, jcmpr.weebly.com. Or you can email me at jcmpr@ymail.com or jcmpr@gmail.com. By the way, jcmpr@gmail.com is for all ministerial representatives. That would be you, your wife, if necessary, Sister Hayes, if necessary, Ebony, if necessary, Andre, those that are in a responsible and repetitive role in the church. jcmpr@ymail.com is for the congregation, those that would desire to contact me. And since we're on the point of emails and Gmails and websites, if you need a website built, look at my website. If there's anything that I can do to help you in designing your website, let me know. This is a $5,000 opportunity that I'm offering to you. Take advantage of it. Don't take the freebies for granted. Use them because somebody is willing to pay for them, and when they pay for them, they will become a success. Trust me,